All right, welcome back, everybody, to the American LFC show. I am Salim, and I will be leading us through this difficult conversation, losing to our arch rivals, Manchester United, in a entertaining game, I guess you could say. I wouldn't necessarily call it a good game, but uh, let's just go run through the goals real quick. United was on us really quickly. Cunha scores in the 6th minute. Sesko scores in the 14th. There was potentially some handball issues, but once again, VAR takes forever, slows the game down, and doesn't change the call. But to be realistic, I don't really have a problem with that call. But going into halftime down 2-0, toothless. We'll get into kind of what's going on with Liverpool a little bit further down the line here, but they start pretty strong in the second half. So Bosley makes a nice run from midfield, and Cody Gakpo does a good job of pulling the defense away from him. So Bosley goes left, and with a left-footed shot, scores. So now 2-1, we got, game on kind of thing. And then a massive mistake by the United goalkeeper. And Szoboszlai just kind of always being aware. The ball, McAllister kind of gets in the way of Lehman's trying to pass to, I believe it was Casemiro, and it goes to Szoboszlai, who's maybe 8 yards out. And instead of turning and shooting, one touches it to Cody Gakpo, who is to his left, and Cody Gakpo just taps it in. So 2-2 in the 56th minute. Now, the rest of the game, there wasn't really too much going on, but for McAllister being aware and disrupting Casemiro to lead to our second goal, then cannot clear the ball from a nice United attack and just barely gets his foot on it instead of thumping it out of the zone. And Cody Mainu, who's reborn now under Carrick, comes flying in, from about 25 yards out and gets to the 18-yard box and just side foots it right into the corner, and game over. A couple things kind of to talk about. United now is guaranteed Champions League. And as we kind of look at Liverpool, we're definitely, favored to finish in the Champions League spots. We have 5 spots. We are currently still in 4th, but Villa has Tottenham today, I believe. And let's be real. Tottenham is in shambles. They're probably getting relegated. So unless something crazy happens, I don't see Spurs putting up a fight against Villa. So let's just assume Villa wins. That'll put us in fifth place. So when you kind of look at that, what does that mean? We have Bournemouth that's 6 points behind us, and Brentford that are 7 points behind us. So those are the 2 teams closest to us. A win from Liverpool would have put us up to 61 points, and that would have been 9 points ahead. But that's not the case. So a couple things to talk about. Pretty good physical type of challenges today. I think Bruno might consider himself lucky on that stud up tackle on Szoboszlai. Late in the second half. I think that easily could have been called a red card. Studs up into a standing leg usually does mean red card, but again, with VAR and the refs, I mean, it's really difficult to be able to predict what they're thinking, what they're going to do. It's in shambles when it comes to that. Now, okay, game's over. Now we have 3 games left. We 2 of them are very critical from a standpoint of They're 6 pointers. So next is Chelsea at Anfield. Now Chelsea hasn't been playing well. Um, I'm not even sure who their new coach is, but they've really haven't found any form recently, and they've really kind of dropped off. I believe now they're below Brighton, and they're in eighth place, I believe. So when you sorry, ninth place with 48 points. So they've really kind of fallen off. And, hopefully Liverpool can come up with something and win that game. That would go a long way in securing a Champions League spot. After that is Villa at Villa Park, 6 pointer, and then Brentford at Anfield, and again another potential 6 pointer. So I think you win one, tie one. I think that should do it, and that should get us a Champions League spot. Now, obviously, the other teams have to win out, and I'm not sure that's going to happen, but we will see. As it all boils down, I've been saying now for about a couple months that it's all going to come down to May, and unfortunately, Liverpool today could not get it done. I've been thinking a lot about Arne Slot and, what's going on. And, are we being unfair with asking him to no longer be the coach or asking the hierarchy to get rid of him? And, I'm a little conflicted because from one standpoint, it's been a tough season that there hasn't been a healthy squad to begin with, and obviously the squad is in transition. So you kind of take those two things into account and say, okay, that works in Arne Slot's favor as far as the overall performance of the team. But really, kind of the big thing that is coach has been talking about and I've been talking about is there's no recognized style of play. We're not sure what they're trying to do. With Klopp, you knew the team was going to press and run their socks off, and try to win the ball up the pitch to create easier goal scoring opportunities. With Slot, I'm still not sure what it is. It's a build-up play, but I don't know. It's almost like the team takes breaks and just kind of passes it around a little bit, just to kind of see what happens or just to keep control of the ball, slow down the pace of the game. And realistically, that's not really what we need. But then again, we have Ekitike who blew out his Achilles, so he's going to be out for a while. Isak nowhere to be found this game. God forbid he plays, a string of games in a row, but give him a break. He has just come back from a broken leg, and picks up a groin injury and, isn't available for this game. I think he would have been a big, big difference in this game. Now, I say that kind of tongue in cheek a little bit because Isak has not really been kind of involved in the games. Granted, he took his goal really well last week. He just doesn't really get involved like Ekitike would when he was a center forward. He would come up, get the ball, move to the left. I mean, there was a lot that Ekitike did that was really inspiring from a center forward standpoint. But, I think realistically, he's out for a while. Then, Isak's out. Mo Salah last week looks like he pulled his hamstring. They are saying that he will be back. Probably, I'd assume they're just going to save him for the Brentford game, the last game of the season at Anfield. And if he can play, maybe bring him on the last 30 minutes or something like that. One other observation from the game today is Rio Ngamoa's contribution and his directness. He can dribble the ball up the field. He can get the ball up the field a la Luis Diaz, who's having a fantastic season for Bayern Munich. Um, I think now we could say, oh, we wish we kept him, but realistically, 28 years old, we got a huge transfer fee for him. Good for him playing well at Bayern, but I think I would do that deal over again. And some might agree with me, some might not, and that's okay. That's just how I feel about it. But I like Ingamoa and what he's doing on the left-hand side. I think when you kind of start to look to the future next year, for example, he has to be um, a starter or a even more of a contributor. I like that we've kind of strung him along throughout the season, nice and slowly, and now he's getting a lot more opportunities. And he looks dangerous. He does. He's defenders are frightened of him. He's quick. He's confident. He made a little bit of an impact today. Maybe, they kind of blame his youth for some decision making. Instead of shooting, there was an opportunity where he could have passed it to Szoboszlai. But I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the way Ngamo is playing. He ran out of bounds once, kind of dribbling a little bit too much, but at least he's playing hard and he's getting the ball up the field and he looks dangerous. So I'm super excited about the future for Rio and Gamoa, in the next 2-3 years. Now, I'm not going to get into, who replaces Salah and, the defense and all that. There's a lot that needs to happen. But I think realistically, 3 games left, 1 win, 1 draw, 2 wins for sure. And we are in a Champions League spot. And the way the season has gone, I think, pretty early in the season after, some pretty hard defeats, I rethought my expectations for the team, and Champions League was the only thing from a financial standpoint, from an investment standpoint. And, with Tottenham potentially going down, there's going to be, maybe some available players that we might be able to pick off. Basuma is one guy that I think from Tottenham would be interesting. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So 3-2. Congratulations to United, I guess. When they first scored their 2 goals, I was like, oh, please don't have it be a 5-0 or a 7-0 like we put up on them in the past. But, decent fight back, a lot of mistakes, not the best game, but at least entertaining. And we'll see you next time. Coach and I will at some point be discussing more things Liverpool. And hopefully we get into the 5th spot and we secure Champions League. All right, take care, everybody.